Hey Notion fans, today we're going to have a look at some navigational systems using synced blocks that I like to use a lot in my builds in different ways and different forms. I'm going to show you two really simple ways of creating a navigation system that will help you get around your pages a little bit faster. Maybe one day in the future, Notion will add some kind of block that helps us do this, but for now we can leverage synced blocks throughout our builds to make navigations. Let's have a look at this setup I've got here. I've got a home, about, and a docs page. And these are just really simple pages that have nothing in them. So navigating around the system currently is clicking in and then maybe going back up to the top level page and then clicking in again. Maybe I use the keyboard shortcuts to go forwards and back, but you can see here that I have to go somewhere else to navigate back. So it's not really like a traditional navigation that you might see on a website. So let's talk about a couple different ways that we can leverage sync blocks to make this a little more streamlined. So starting at the top here, I'm going to add a synced block by typing /sy. And maybe I will use bracket bracket home, and then maybe I'll put a divider, and then I can put bracket bracket about, and maybe bracket bracket docs. So there's a navigation toolbar that I can click into, but we'll note that I don't have that on this page. And so we're going to grab a link to that synced block. We're going to go to the about page and we're going to paste it in there as a synced block. We're going to go to docs and we're going to paste that in there as a synced block. And now we can navigate throughout our system. We got to put this on the home page too. There we go. So now we got homepage, about, docs, and we can quickly jump between those right in our toolbar here. So this is kind of like creating a nice little link system. And the cool thing about this is, of course, because it's sync block, I can always edit this now and it will update across all of those pages. So if I want to do something a little cleaner, like write this out with some home, about, and docs, and maybe I will click into this text. So instead of using a in-page link, I'm going to use a regular link. And this is where I can actually pick home, about, and docs. All right. So this creates a very elegant navigational system. And you'll see that if you're sharing this page with another user and they don't have edit access to these pages, they would just see links like the above. They wouldn't see that red outline. So you'll, as an editor of the page and an editor of the original sync block, you would only see that red outline when you utilize this. But I find this is pretty helpful because it creates a really streamlined navigational system. Now, if we go back up to our navigational system here, we can see here's our actual pages and whatnot, so we could organize that in a different way, but this allows us to create a navigation system that kind of works in here. I also have this other method that I sometimes use, and we can actually put this right in the page as well, where instead of leveraging links to the pages, I actually create a synced block. So let's create a new synced block here, and maybe we'll put something in here like navigation, and we'll make that a heading. We can use turn into here, heading, and then maybe we put some separation underneath that. And then I'll actually just drag all three pages right into this synced block here. So now these pages are actually part of this synced block. So now maybe I copy a link to this synced block. Let's go into our home page and we'll paste that in there, synced block. And then again, the about page, put the synced block in there, and then the docs page, synced block. Cool. So now works again. Each of the pages is actually inside the sync block now. So we can click throughout and we've got relations. You know, we can click, works just like a regular page embedded here in the document, where I can change the icon and things like that. The advantage of this version is that if I go into my sidebar here and I open up navigational systems, you'll see that I actually have shortcuts to those pages now. Whereas with the linked version, links don't show up in the sidebar, so they don't show up as a navigational element. So I use this a lot in my work, where if I have a course or something like that, every lesson in the course might be one of those pages in that navigational element, so you can click through those and also expand the page in the sidebar and jump to those pages as well. So maybe you have like, you know, the main page here has like an introduction. So this is what I do a lot with my own courses, where I'll say something like, welcome to the bracket bracket navigation systems course. Use the nav below to get started. And maybe even like a call out here that says start with home, and link them to that first page, right? And maybe I'll also add an icon here to represent that, and Notion defaulted me to orange, which I was using previously with something else, but I'm going to put in a gray background here. And this way you can link somebody to the navigational systems thing, and maybe they see this introduction and then they click into home. And, you know, when they do their home stuff here, and then maybe down at the bottom here, you would say, call out next up, about. And maybe we replace that with the eye icon that we've been using, the info. We can go to about, and maybe actually I'll grab this here and we'll just copy it, and we'll go to about. And in the about thing, we say about content here. Next up is docs. And maybe we change that to the docs icon. And of course, in docs, this is docs content. And you're done. And of course, this is a trivial example. You would actually have linked databases. You might have content in here. You're walking somebody through a process, but this is a nice way to bring somebody into a sequence and then walk them through the navigation here, and they can jump to any page from below, but we do have a linear navigation here that they can click through those pages in a linear sequence, or they can jump to any page in the navigation at the bottom, or they can jump to any page in the system and the sidebar. So that's an example of how we might create two different ways of using synced blocks to walk somebody through a sequence of pages that are maybe related to a larger system, or to walk somebody through a course.